Hi, Hope students. Welcome to my class. This is Miss Moore, and I'm going to be your teacher for segment 1 and 2, or if you're just signed up for segment 1 or just signed up for segment 2. I will be with you through the whole journey. The first thing I want to make sure that you understand is that you will have a drop add period when you first begin class. So I will activate you the Monday after our welcome call, and you will have 2 weeks to actually decide whether you want to stay in class or not. You actually should have access to your class and you can go ahead and get started if you'd like, but that Monday activation is going to start this drop add period. So the important thing to decide within these first 2 weeks of class is if you have the time to devote to Hope. So if you decide to withdraw within those first 2 weeks for any reason, you can do so without any penalties to your transcripts. It'll look like you never even registered for the class. If you decide to withdraw after those 2 weeks, or I have to withdraw you because you're not keeping up with the learning commitment, that's when you can end up with a withdrawal or failing grade on your transcripts. So definitely best to make that decision within those first 2 weeks. I definitely like to go over that there is a minimum seat time requirement for Hope. So especially when we get into those summer months, you guys like to finish a little bit faster, but you will need to be in class for 21 days. All right, so that is the minimum. That is a state mandate, and we cannot alter that. So if you're going to be in segment 1 and 2, the fastest that you can finish both are 42 days. Okay, so typically your weekly minimum assignment is 3 assignments per week to stay active in the course, and we'll go over that in a minute, but I do like to go over this minimum requirement. I do want to talk about academic integrity. Florida Virtual School prides themselves on the level of academic integrity that we hold our students to, and we actually rank number 1 in the nation. And we ensure this in 3 different ways. The first one is that we have a whole academic integrity team at the main office, and they're there. They check IP addresses, make sure they're not from crazy places, make sure people aren't buying and selling work over the internet. And then when we have an academic integrity issue, they're the ones that make the final decision on what occurs with that student and what the consequences of the academic integrity fraction. And the second way is through Turnitin.com. And all of your written work will automatically go through Turnitin.com. And it's going to compare your work to everything on the internet and everything another Florida Virtual School student has turned in before. So make sure you're not copying and pasting anything off the internet, using anybody else's work, and importantly, that you're not sharing your work with anybody. The third way that we ensure academic integrity is through discussion-based assessments, or what we call DBAs. And those are going to be 10-minute conversations between me and you, and we're going to talk about your lessons, we're going to talk about your activities, and how you're applying what you're learning to your physical activity. Your student expectations are to complete those 3 assignments, so a minimum of 3 assignments per week. Also, you must be working every 7 days. So try not to work on a Monday one week and a Friday the next week, because you will go over that 7 days and become overdue. So it is very important that you are submitting those 3 assignments per week. It is a requirement. So if you end up going 2 weeks without any submissions, that will result in a suspension or a withdrawal. So definitely make sure that you're committing time each week to your Hope class and you're getting in those assignments each week. You may submit more than 3 each week, but even if you are ahead of pace, you are expected to submit 3 each week. Please make sure you're checking emails for important information and your grading feedback. Please return contact with your teacher, me, if I ask you to. Typically, I'm going to leave you a detailed message, or we'll talk, or I'll text you. But if I ask you to return my call, please make sure you're doing so. That means we have something we need to discuss. And of course, it may not be bad, but there's just something that we need to go over. I might be just trying to help you with an assignment. And make sure you're participating in regular physical activity each week. And we'll go into more detail about that as well. So again, those DBAs are verbal assessments with me. There's going to be 2 per segment, and we're not allowed to do more than 1 each time that we schedule a DBA. So please try not to skip these assignments. I typically allow you to work into the next module while you're waiting on your DBA appointment. I will have monthly contact. It's a mandatory monthly contact with mom or dad. So I will send out an email 1 to 2 weeks before it's due, and they can then let me know if a phone call, text message, or email would be best to update them on your progress. My expectations are to be able to return all your communication within 24 hours. And so I actually work in a teaming environment, and I'll go over that in a little bit. So typically you will not have to wait that 24 hours. And then my other expectation as a teacher is to have all of your grading done within 48 hours. So I actually empty my gradebook every morning, so you'll never have to wait 48 hours for that grading. Except, of course, over the weekend, you're going to have a slight delay on return communication and grading because we do not work on Saturdays and Sundays. So definitely make sure you're looking through your class before Friday hits. So if you have questions, you have a teacher still available to you to ask questions. You will have a wellness plan that'll be due at the end of each module. So this is where that physical activity comes to play. So you will need 420 minutes of physical activity on each plan for me to be able to grade that plan. You'll need 3 different types of activities listed, and you need to make sure your activity is consistent throughout the whole module. So you can't go to Busch Gardens or Disney World and walk around for 7 hours and try to log that as your entire activity. You need to be showing consistent activity throughout the module. The second thing I like to talk about with the wellness plans is your tracker data information. So you can actually record this in a couple of different ways. The first one is if you have a tracker device, you can use that to record that information, and that's like a Fitbit or an app on your phone. Or the second way is you can just use the manual calculation formula, and that's provided right there on the plan, and it's simple math that'll be based off of your physical activity log that you're already keeping. So either one of those are fine, but definitely if you end up having questions on either of these, make sure you jot those down so you can ask during our welcome call. So this is this awesome news about me being involved with a team of teachers. You will never have to wait that 24 hours for me to return your call. You will always have a teacher available to you Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. So you will always know who's on call. You will see a banner that will be across your announcement page with who's on call. If you text me, you will get an auto reply with who's on call. And if you call me, you'll get a voicemail message with who's on call. So you will never have to wait for a password, a question that needs to be answered, or any help that you need on an assignment. You will always have a teacher available to you. So definitely make sure that you're reaching out to all of us. We're all here for you. And when we're on call, we're expecting calls from everybody's classes. So the next thing that I need for you to do is fill out that student information form if you haven't. Make sure you fill it all out, and that was sent to you in your welcome letter. So you can find the link to that there. And then lastly, you just need to make your appointment for your welcome call and make sure you have any questions that you might have ready, and I will talk to you soon.